Welcome, this is Dr. Traci K. I love you in this place. Thank you for coming to share your practice today. Welcome to another Spiritual Vibe message. I hope you're all doing well. Breathe it in today. You are so valued. If you haven't already been following me on social media at the Working It Out series, please do so now. And also subscribe to my channel on YouTube, Dr. Traci K with an I. Please come join us in our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups Spiritual Vibration Challenge. If you need spiritual healing, support, requests, prayer requests, come in there. You will be so welcomed and so valued. They share so many wonderful art and inspiring types of motivational spiritual support there. You can get your wonderful spiritual support there, and it's just growing and growing and growing. Now, today I want to talk to you about how does one become Christ conscious? Consciousness. How does one become Christ consciousness? It's really something that is kind of confusing to a lot of people. You know, who is Christ, or what is Christ consciousness? These are the questions that are always in the mind of those people who want to enter to a world of spirituality. Now, a lot of people say, well, I'm not Jewish. I mean, why do I have to, well, this country was founded on Christianity. You know, I'm not Jewish either. Actually, my history stems to the Italians and the Romans and the Polish and all that, but that doesn't mean if you learn deeper into, go back to the gods and goddesses before ever humans were formed, and when God created humans and humans were brought and formed into this planet and decided to create, there was that coming of forth when it was passed on, and America was discovered through these areas of freedom in religion, which is stemming on Christianity. Now, we are all interfaith here. Like myself, I'm interfaith. We have a freedom of religion here, which is wonderful about that. But when it comes to being Christ consciousness, or being consciousness of spirituality, it's considered in English a term where it's called Kritos, which is a Greek word that means the anointed one. And in Hebrew, it is known as Messiah. Christ consciousness, or Christ so-called in reorientation, and from what I remember studying in my books of theology when I went to get my divinity and holistic and studied on that level, it's a universal awareness of the state of consciousness. It's being transformed to a higher consciousness, which is about my thing about leveling up. And you can get all the wisdom and info you need. And this is what I want to talk to you about right now, because a term of Christ consciousness, where he gave his only begotten Son to us in sacrifice in the state of being, to be transformed, to transform our soul to the highest level, to be forgiven as humans beings on this earth. And so having that state of mind, that awakening, and that chance of transforming and being, is the key to learn and be able to grow. And being aware and keeping in mind of that awareness begins to be inspired for opening ourselves and allowing that knowledge and wisdom. So we're being given that gift to be allowed that knowledge and wisdom through Christ consciousness. And that's an amazing gift. It's an amazing gift. And our sins are being forgiven. On top of that, how amazing. So good, right? Can I get some heart claimants on that one? Yes. So as mentioned earlier, the state of mind connecting to that higher power. Christ consciousness and how to become that is, some people say, well, it's linked to religious beliefs. But actually the term of Christ consciousness is not necessarily affiliated with religious beliefs. It's only called Christ consciousness because of the spiritual evolution of Jesus Christ while he was still alive. Anyone can be Christ conscious if they are willing to know about the concept of it. Majority of religious masters have already walked in the path of light, love, harmony, bliss, and peace, which is generally followed by a suffering period. And I understand this, trust me, as a result. Now, I'm luckily, because some people have really suffered, so be thankful and grateful, because some of you are anointed before you're bringing into this world. Maybe you're anointed before you're actually conceived. So you have no choice, but you become enlightened. Maybe some of you come be enlightened after your journey. Or maybe you have another lifetime where you have to go and repeat. So it depends on where you are in your consciousness of such. So as all the people can be enlightened and awakened, they can be finally open their mind why Christ consciousness was born. Now, how do people become, how can people like you and I become Christ conscious? All people born with consciousness. It flows into human being. And if there is a will, it can be developed and achieved by anyone. The only key to keep in mind is by looking for a spiritual way, which is a practice, because we all are sinners. I'm a sinner. I make mistakes. I'm not perfect. And the key, one of the things I really, and this is probably why I struggle so much throughout my childhood, because I knew being born, I knew I was enlightened and anointed, and I always fought it, and was always tested and fought it, and I said no, and but if I was actually had the blessing over me, meaning if I had my father blessing me every week, or the head of the household, which I was raised by my mother, so if I still had my father in my life every week, if I had something of a blessing every week, then it would have been easier for me. Instead, I was always, even though my mother had me in church, and so forth, it wasn't, and I did, I went through, so other people were putting me through, so I went through my catechism, but, it was, so I went there, but there were still struggles. But the thing is, it's important to have that blessing, because it's a blessing, because if you don't have the head of the figure, or the father figure, or or if it's just the head of the figure of the household, which your mother, which is who could be accounted as, blessing you every week, meaning not by putting you down, not by being hard on you, that they're blessing their children every week, blessing you with peace, joy, love, prosperity, happiness, not like, you're an idiot, you're stupid. No, that's not a blessing, you have to, it's different. So then you struggle constantly. And that's what's the key is important. So when I highly, please, if you cannot do this, if you have a father in your home, fathers, bless your children every week. I don't care how old they are. Bless them if you're still in their lives. Mothers, if you're the head of the household, bless your children every week. It's amazing how you would see so much of a difference that would be connecting. And so it's one of the key things I can highly suggest. And those people who could be born with this consciousness. It flows into the human being as a will, and it can be developed, and it can be achieved by anyone. It's the key to looking in a spiritual way. Whether you're considered an assistant of mentors or being compassionate, loving, patient, tolerant, understanding, forgiving, following the path of a conscious thinking. It's all about self-empowered growth. Secrets of Self-Empowered Growth. We have not checked out my book. Waiting for it to be the bestseller. Independence. They don't, if you're not have your publisher, you don't get that automatic New York Times bestseller. That's the only time. Don't believe that New York Times bestseller. That's a trick they do with publishers. Independents are different. You can get. I've actually been awarded in the spiritual excellence of spiritual spirit, mind, body, and mind. I've been given that award plus the OM Times expert. So I do have that credentials, and so. Spiritual growth can be achieved by inner feelings and thoughts. One must be aware and understand that he or she is a unique creation, that your people's minds acknowledges, and you have to acknowledge that divine part of you, and it can be very vulnerable, and some people have that hard time being vulnerable. For example, talking about your past relationships. Some people just do not want to be vulnerable. They don't want to talk about the past relationships. They don't want to open up their heart to remember because, it's vulnerability. It's hard because, and instead of seeing it as an experience, they see it as a negativity, or they want to put it down. And that's where you need to understand, if you're going to develop a relationship with your higher power or God and have that relationship, you need to address those things. And that's how you become able to be aligned with your inner feelings and thoughts, so you can be aware and understand of how you're uniquely created, which gives you an opportunity to have the connection of divine mind, and it can awaken, and it can see, and you'll start seeing things brighter instead of dimmer, more enlightened. Now, what difficulties or hindrances you may face? Many people encounter conflicts during this process of awakening. Like I said, it's hard at first. You feel vulnerable. You don't want to talk about it. You'll notice when you try to bring. You'll notice you'll connect with people. You don't want to be around them. No, I don't talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. No, I don't want to talk about it. No. And that's okay. But it's just a process. And it could be difficult for some people to encounter those conflicts during the process of awakening. This is a part of the process. There might be conflicts. There might be difficulties and frustrations. Issues from your normal mind, which is trying to adjust to a new way of thinking, which is normal. The mind of every human being is conditioned to a certain way at birth. In order for people to think in a logical or rational or to be enlightened way, they must also practice and be conditioned. And they're tested. So people might come to life, their own children, the mentors, people, they'll be tested in a spirit. And that spirit of a human being is not considered as material, but it can be in order for you to understand the meaning of your own spirit. So you must clear your mind of everything and allow yourself to be able to heal. This is how you heal. And it opens up to where you can eventually have a key to unlock and becoming on your way to becoming Christ conscious. Now, are there ways to overcome this hindrances to become Christ conscious? Well, I'm going to give you a couple tips. One, I would say, and this is what I practice, and some people that are really they pray, like meditate 5 times a day. Meditation is one of the big tools that I'm going to give you, tool that can help anyone from removing these thoughts of the basic reality on the way of thinking of these modern days. That gives you constant negative, 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 negative. That makes you repeat that to everybody. So you can change that. Yes, you can talk about that like da da da, but hopefully you can flip that script. I know a lot of times, I understand myself. I always, being the way I am now, I want to always talk about the enlightened stuff, but the people I deal with in my life are still in that other way of thinking in the modern days. And so if I ever speak to them in the way I am, enlightened today, it would seem to them a little weird to them. In times they would think, oh, well, she's a little nutty anyways, They think they're mental. And that's kind of sad, that people think that today. But that's the way they are. They're still in that dark days modern, and that's how they think it. But so you have to kind of go onto the level, which is sad, to have a conversation with them. But that does, and so yes, and I understand it too. I remember people like that, and I thought the same way. Ooh, get away from me, a little crazy, Jehovah's Witness, go away. And now I've kind of become somewhat like that. And so it's sad to think that when you see people in that matter of enlightened, you think, oh, they're schizophrenia, they're PTSD, they're nutty, they're a fruitcake. No, we walk in the enlightened way. We want to see things, and if we're trying to become more Christ conscious, you're still dimmed in the modern days, which is dark, dim, and it's hindering, so it's causing you to be in the dim. Now, it's an inner reflection. It's a peace of mind. So one of the things you can do to help yourself come into that is meditation. Meditation can become something of a wonderful tool to becoming one with the universal spirit and forces of nature. It also helps people receive inspiration and energy and healing. People, when they become, so people ask, well, what do people feel when they become Christ conscious? Well, I'm going to say that most people, the majority of the people who become Christ conscious is seen with full of joy. They are full of joy. Like I said, they're the regular people, the modern, they're not in a fruitcake or whatever. No, we're just full of joy. We've been awakened. We've been awakened in Christ consciousness, and we've been fulfilled, and we're in this joyful experience, even though things are going on around us that are not so much, maybe, but within us and around us and who we are connected, because we're Christ conscious, because we're anointed now, confidence, and there is no fear. As the fear ends, then we have our own destiny. We have been given our own path, and our path is in a different vibration, and one that becomes one is with a higher vibration that is not on the same vibration as that. Understand? And I want to give you a little bit more on how to understand how you can become so much more Christ conscious in this. And looking into a sample with vibrational energy medicine or sound vibrational can really help you, because a lot of times it's hard to connect with that. There's great tools in that level too, and I'm going to offer you that today. If you can check out that by becoming a member of my YouTube channel, partnering with me with this spiritual vibration challenge project mission that I've got. And I'm willing to offer you the sample to check out a God healing audio session, a sample of that. Plus, you can check out this new guide workbook about Christ consciousness. It's a wonderful guide and book. Plus, you can check out that God healing session sample. And if you want the full audio session, you can get that. Plug and play. You can use it anytime you want to. And you will learn so much more about how to become Christ conscious. It's a great spiritual tool. And again, that Secrets of Self-Empowered Growth book. And there's a workbook on becoming a better version yourself. So many tools you can do just by checking out. But this is Christ Conscious Workbook with any of your, if just becoming a member or a donation, any current, you can get that book right now called Christ Consciousness. And for free, check it out. That sample, that God healing session, vibrational session. All right. This is Dr. Traci K. Thank you for coming today to share your practice with me on the spiritual vibe message. I want you to take a deep breath right now. Lift your hands up to claim it. Oh my goodness. If you want to receive this message today, bring your hands to your heart center. Fingers open. Lift your hands up to your forehead. May you shine your light and love out to others. Share. May you be awakened. May you be on your path to Christ consciousness today. And the tools that I have offered you, that you will go and use these tools and share them with others. And you will now receive this and vow to claim it. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful week, everyone.